The Real Ape Story: The Tragedy of Learned Behavior in Urban Neighborhoods. Let's get right to it, shall we? Hello again, J Spot peeps, and welcome back to the J Spot. I'm your host, Mr. J. And for those of you who have subscribed thus far, thank you so much. We really do appreciate your support. And for those of you who are stopping by for the first time, welcome. And if you enjoy this content, I hope that you will subscribe. We would love to have our subscriptions up to 500 before the end of the month, and we're almost there. And please, while you're here, give us a like, drop us a comment, share this content with your family and friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. The last couple of videos that I put out, I posted, talked about the black experience as relative to the Willie Lynch Manifesto and the crime of being a black man in America. Those things are related because of the indoctrination belief that Willie Lynch held concerning black women, particularly the black female slave. Get control of the black female slave, then you've got control of her offspring. Subsequently, you'll have control of the entire lineage in perpetuity because of the learned behavioral patterns that will subsequently be passed on. And then I also spoke about how the American economic system indoctrinates black women against men, black men, because of the monetary value attached to it. Keep him out of the house if you want welfare assistance. If you divorce him, take him for everything he's got. Don't leave him with anything. And demand exorbitant child support for the children. Because not only does he have to take care of himself, he has to take care of you now and the children. Something he was already doing at home. But now it's separate. But I digress. But also in a video prior to that, I talked about, titled Killing for Corners, I talked about the propensity for violence in the neighborhoods, black communities. And again, it's related to Willie Lynch. How things learned in the community as a child will perpetuate itself for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. And that includes heaping violence upon one another, eliminating any grace that used to exist in the neighborhood among black people. And it brings me to the title of this next series that I'm going to do. One of the videos I spoke briefly about the ape story. Now, I wrote this article about the ape story back in 2013. It was a 4-part series. And so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to share this series with you all. And I'm going to begin with the first part of the series. Now, as I'm doing this, I want you to put yourself in the place of what I'm talking about and relate it, what you hear, to what you actually see with your own 2 eyes. Even if you don't live in the hood, if you live in the hood, you see it. If you don't live in the hood, you know about it. And you see it on television. You hear about it. You witness it. So let's begin, shall we? The Real Ape Story. The tragedy of learned behavior in urban neighborhoods. Before I go any further, let me state for the record that the above title is in no way a reflection of my thoughts towards the people referenced in this story. It just happens to be the title of an experiment using apes to record learned behavioral patterns in which I substitute humans for the apes in order to get my point across. Some years ago, I purchased a movie titled The Contender, starring Jeff Bridges, Joan Allen, and Gary Oldman. The story was about a female senator, played by Allen, who was asked by the president, played by Bridges, to be his vice president after his first VP suddenly dies. Long story short, one day I decided to watch the deleted scenes portion of the special features, and one scene in particular caught my attention. In this deleted scene, Bridges is telling his staff the ape story. Now, in the story, there are 5 apes that are placed inside of a cage where there's a set of stairs built. And over the set of stairs, there hangs a banana. Now, outside of the cage, there's a fire hydrant filled with ice cold water with a hose attached to it, and a man standing outside the cage manning the hydrant. Now, the apes, once being placed inside the cage and they see the banana, naturally, as apes would want to do, they go up the stairs to get the banana. But as soon as they attempt to go up the stairs to get the banana, the man outside takes the hose and sprays them all down with this ice cold water for about 5 minutes. And so every time they do this, he keeps spraying them down until after a while, none of those apes will go after that banana because they know what the consequence of doing so will be. So what happens is, you take one of the apes out and you put a new ape in. Now, the new ape, he's never been sprayed with the water. So what does he do? He goes up the steps to try to get the banana. But before he gets up the steps to get the banana, instead of the man having to spray him down with the water, the other 4 apes get him and beat the living daylights out of him because they know what's going to happen if he goes up those steps. So you continue to do that. So you take another ape out, you put a new ape in there. Now you've got 2 new apes and 3 old apes. Now the second new ape, he does what the first new ape does. He goes up the stairs to try to get the banana. But as soon as he does, the first 3 old apes, along with the first new ape, get him and beat the living daylights out of him. Now the 3 old apes, they know why they're beating him. The first new ape, he has no idea why he's beating the new guy. The moral of that story is, that's just the way things are done around here. He's doing it because the other ones are doing it. Learn behavior. And so he continues to do that until you got 5 apes in the cage. None of them have ever been sprayed with that water. But none of them will ever go up the stairs and get the banana. A pattern of learned behavior. Now what I do when I was teaching school in Patterson, when I told this story, I would change the apes out and use people. Say, imagine 5 old heads on the corner in the hood, standing in front of the liquor store. There are 5 new young brothers standing on the other side of the street, right? They're slinging rock, selling heroin and all this kind of stuff. The 5 old heads over there looking at the brothers like, It's okay to want the bling bling, but you're going up the wrong set of stairs to get it. Because now the cage represents prison, and the man standing outside the cage is a policeman, and his water hose is his gun, and the water is the bullet. But the 5 old heads can't say anything to the 5 new heads, because the 5 new heads will kill them. Because they have become so desensitized to life and human life and decency, they don't have a problem taking out the old heads. But the worst thing about it is that there's a young boy living above the bodega there, and he's looking at all this, and you know what he's saying? This is just the way things are done around here. And therein lies the danger. So what we are left with is a pattern of learned behavior that says that the way of violence and murder is just the way things are done around here. Moreover, the children become so desensitized to that violent behavior that instead of looking for ways to tamp it down, ways are sought to make it more attractive and rewarding. No attempt is made to show the child that not only does this behavior harm them, but also harms the community. There are no corrective measures taken because the adults are afraid of the children, because of the desensitization of the children towards violence and their lack of respect for human life. Far too many years have passed, and still the same conversation dominates our communities about why we continue to struggle and grapple with the same issues. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about Willie Lynch's idea that if you indoctrinate these people with a certain ideology, that it will self-generate and self-refuel. What I just said, why do we continue to struggle with the same issues? Because we're perpetuating those issues. We're not perpetuating solutions, we're perpetuating problems. Today's urban community mirrors the urban community of 40 years ago. Inner city schools of today mirror those of yesteryear. Ask yourself, why are we continuing to complain about the things we've been complaining about for decades? And I'll tell you why, because we're not looking for solutions. We're not looking for solutions that require hard work. We're looking for the easy way out. And now the easy way out has infected this generation that we're living with today. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Nobody wants to work. If you ask 100 Gen Zers or Xers, whatever they're called, they'll tell you 50% of, more than half of them will tell you they want to be an influencer. Influencing what? Bad behavior. Entitlement. An unwillingness to do something that requires labor. The only thing that has changed in urban areas is the number of funerals for our youth has increased. The sense of real community has decreased. And those of us who remember the clean streets and sidewalks and the pride we used to take in keeping them that way are left heartbroken, shaking our heads and wondering how the so-called progress we've made feels and looks more like regression. What is it you're seeing with your own 2 eyes, folks? Remember I talked about that several videos ago? What are you witnessing with your own 2 eyes? You can't deny what you're seeing. You can't go around gaslighting yourselves about what you're really seeing, what you are witnessing. I had a boss years ago in Norfolk, Virginia. His name was Horner Baker. In every sales meeting, he would leave us with this one quote: "It ain't gonna happen if you don't make it happen." We don't live in a dispensation where manna is falling from heaven. If we want it to be done, we have to do it. Are you willing to leave your comfort zone to do it? And if, as you say you are, a Christian, and you believe that one day you will stand before your Maker, what will your answer be when your Maker asks you what you did with the gift that you were given? What did you do to serve your fellow man? What did you do to protect your sister or your brother? Did you do something good? What did you do with the life that you had? Did you do something good, or did you do something bad? Thank you once again, J-Spot peeps, for spending some of your valuable time here with me in the J-Spot. And for those of you who have not, if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. Give us a like, drop a comment, and share this content with your family and friends. And make sure that you come back to see me for the next part in this series, The Real Ape Story Part 2, The Traffic Light Syndrome. Because we have a lot more discovering to do and a lot more purpose to pursue. In the meantime, peace.
When you look up to me, I pray when you look up to me that all within your sight is something you would want to be, but only if it's right. I pray that everything I do, within you it creates a passion to pursue what's true with every step you take. I pray that all you hear me say are words that plant good seed, words you might plant yourself someday, food someone else might need. I pray when someone looks at you, I pray that they will see in you the things you saw me do when you looked up to me.